96% of people never complete online courses. 96%. Meanwhile, over half of Duolingo users return to the app every single day. This isn't just about better content, but about how it's presented. It's the result of psychological mechanisms that turn learning into a habit. Today we'll break them down to their core components. Hi, I'm David, and today I will show you 8 specific gamification mechanisms that Duolingo uses to capture and hold learners' attention. You will see how each of these mechanisms solves a real problem in the learning process, from lack of initial motivation through mid-course engagement drops to difficulty maintaining habits. But here's what's really fascinating. The most powerful mechanism I will share today actually works by making people feel like they are disappointing someone if they quit. It sounds manipulative, but when done right, it creates genuine accountability that transforms learning outcomes. And the best part? You can implement it in your organization starting tomorrow. So, if you run training programs, manage a new university, or are responsible for development in a company, you know this feeling. People sign up for courses with enthusiasm. First session, great attendance. Second ones, a bit worse, and by the third, only half remain. Here's what's really happening while you are losing learners. Your competitors, who understand this psychological mechanism, are building learning programs that people actually complete. They are creating competitive advantages through better employees development, higher skill retention, and stronger learning cultures. The cost of ignorance isn't just wasted training budgets. It's watching talent leave because they don't feel developed. It's losing ground to organizations that know how to make learning stick. Often these programs are very valuable, but learning is hard, requires effort, consistency. And we, as a people responsible for education, too often assume that it's enough to explain well, present, and organize. The problem lies deeper in the psychology of motivation, in how the human brain approaches long-term goals. And here comes Duolingo, with methods that have completely changed the face of learning over the past few years. Duolingo isn't just a success in mobile apps. It's a 500 million users revenues of $500 million annually, and most importantly, real learning results. Companies like MasterCard and Siemens are already implementing similar mechanisms in their development programs. Universities like Arizona State University use gamification to increase their online course completion rates from 4% to over 40%. Even training companies that started applying these approaches report course completion increases of 200 to 300%. Okay, but before we start changing mindset, if you think of gamification as colorful decorations or childish addition, stop for a moment. These mechanisms are sophisticated, systematic solutions based on decades of psychological research about motivations, habits formation, and behavior change. Today I will show you 8 specific mechanisms you can implement starting tomorrow. You don't need advanced technological knowledge or massive budgets. Let's start with what you see first when you enter the Duolingo app, the daily learning counter. This is called streak. But here's the detail that most organizations miss. Duolingo doesn't just count days, it creates social pressure. You can add friends, see their streaks, get notifications. Anna has 47 days of learning Spanish, and you? In business context, this means instead of individual certificates that nobody sees, create team visible progress dashboards. Instead of solitary learning, build groups that learn together and see each other's result. One training company introduced team streaks for managers in a leadership program. Instead of learning in isolation, they saw which colleagues were up to date with material. The result? Completion rates jumped from 34% to 78%. Why does this work? it hits our fear of loss. Nobody wants to be the one who broke the team's streak, but more importantly, it transforms individual responsibility into collective accountability, and that's much more powerful than any individual motivation. Duolingo breaks learning into short sessions lasting 5 to 10 minutes, not by incident. Research shows our brain processes information better in short, intensive intervals than during long, exhausting sessions. This is called the spacing effect. Information learned in distributed session is retained longer than information crammed in a single session. But here's the crucial thing. Each micro session has a clear beginning and the end. You feel like you have finished something, achieved something. This creates what psychologists call completion bias, our brain's satisfaction from finishing tasks. In training context, abandon 8-hour sessions for 20-minute modules spread over time. The key is ensuring each module provides a sense that something has actually been completed. Okay, real-life example now. An insurance company changed their onboarding from a 2-week academy to 30 micro-modules spread over 3 months, which resulted in a new employee reaching full productivity 30% faster and retention of key procedures increased by 60%. But attention, this isn't just about dividing long training into short pieces. Each piece must be complete and immediately applicable in work. If you are teaching sales, don't do day 1 theory, day 2 practice, do day 1 how to ask open questions plus immediate exercise with a real client, day 2 how to listen actively plus immediate application in next conversation. But before I show you the next mechanism, let me ask you, what if I told you there's a way to make people feel genuinely bad about quitting your program without being manipulative or unethical? This is where psychology gets truly interesting. In Duolingo, you can lose your streak, drop in leak, or disappoint the friendly old duo if you skip learning. But balance is needed here. If pressure is too high, people get discouraged and quit. If too low, it doesn't work because it doesn't provide sufficient motivation. The key lies in what we call gentle pressure, subtle enough not to paralyze, yet strong enough to remind us about responsibility. In business, this means creating conditions that favor consistency. For example, instead of general message, you have until year end to complete the course. It works better to use the principle after 2 weeks of inactivity, you lose access to bonus materials, or you must complete at least 1 module monthly to remain in the program. Another example, if a student doesn't complete at least 80% of material in a semester, they lose access to advanced modules in the next one. Importantly, this isn't perceived as punishment, but as natural consequence. The solution actively motivates regular work and teaches consistency. The key is making consequences feel natural and logical, not arbitrary or punitive. People should understand the why behind the pressure. Duolingo has leagues that assign users based on weekly points earned. Each week, you start with a new group matched to your level and compete with people who have similar chances. You collect experience points, advance, or drop to other leagues. This way, competition isn't brutal and winning seems achievable. Translating this to training, forget rankings like best salesperson of the month that discourage 95% of your team. Instead, create leagues matched to skill levels. Juniors compete with juniors, seniors with seniors. Everyone has a chance to be in the top 3. Why does this work? It uses our natural need for social status, but in a way that doesn't demotivate those who don't win. When competition feels fair and winnable, it motivates everyone, not just the naturally high performers. A training company introduced league systems in corporate development programs. Monthly, the best in each league receive symbolic rewards, not financial but status-based. Recognition on company intranet, reserved parking spots, first choice at lunch queues, small things, but they tap into fundamental human psychology. Every completed exercise in Duolingo ends with a small celebration. Duo does a little dance, confetti appears, you get experience points. This isn't random decoration, this is what psychology calls positive reinforcement, deliberately rewarding behaviors we want to repeat. It works by releasing dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for satisfaction and motivation. In business environment, this means systematically celebrating every small progress during learning, not just final results. Instead of waiting 6 months for certificates from entire programs, introduce small rewards for completing each module. And instead of prizing only the best, celebrate every progress, even the smallest. Each completed training module can generate automatic congratulations on internal Slack channels with mentions of managers and teams. That way, employees start training development as source of positive feedback, not obligation. But here's what most organizations get wrong. They celebrate completion, not application. A way better approach is to celebrate when someone uses new skills in real work. When a manager gives better feedback after communication training. When a salesperson closes deals using new techniques. That's when real learning has happened. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The mechanism I'm about to share is the one that actually makes people feel personally connected to their learning journey. Duolingo analyzes when you have problems and adapts exercises precisely to them. Having trouble with past tense, more exercises with exactly that will appear. But here's what most platforms don't understand. Personalization isn't just algorithm. It's the feeling that the system knows me. If you transfer this to organizational reality, it would involve creating learning paths based on actual needs and competency gaps of specific participants. For example, divide sales teams not by seniority, but by competency profile. Some need to strengthen presentation, other negotiation, still others relationship building. Everyone gets similar programs but with emphasis on their weak points. One university applied adaptive learning in executive MBA programs. Now, each participant starts with skills assessments and system automatically selects material proportions. Those who handle finances well get more strategy. Those who need improvement in finances get more numerical analysis. And in result, the majority of participants considered the program perfectly tailored to their needs, while in traditional format only 67% thought so. But true personalization goes beyond algorithms. It's about making each learner feel seen and understood. This means acknowledging their specific challenges, referencing their industry context, and connecting new concepts to their existing knowledge base. In Duolingo, you see that millions of people are learning the same language as you. You are not alone in this journey. A powerful psychological mechanism that motivates action. But that's not all. You can also join forums, ask questions, help others, and this builds a real sense of belonging to a learning community. So for example, instead of sending each manager to separate courses, it's worth creating learning groups around specific challenges or roles. For instance, instead of individual leadership training, create 3-month program for groups of several people with shared challenges, regular sessions, and mutual support. Networking emerges naturally and participants continue collaboration even after program completion. This works because humans are fundamentally social learners. We learn better when we feel part of something bigger than ourselves. When we see others struggling with same challenges, succeeding with same methods, and supporting each other through the process. The key is creating opportunities to peer learning, not just expert to student teaching. Sometimes the best insights come from someone who just solved the same problem you are facing. Here's the mechanism that most people underestimate, but it's actually one of the most powerful. Duolingo doesn't send random notifications. It analyzes when you most often open the app and sending learning reminders exactly then. But more importantly, it uses emotions. Don't let Duo down isn't random phrasing. It's a psychological mechanism that plays on our need to be consistent and fear of disappointing. In organizations, this means creating reminder systems based on data, not calendar. If you know your managers most often complete development tasks on Tuesdays between 2 and 4 p.m., program the system so reminders come exactly then. But Add the emotional element instead of cold reminders like complete module 3. Try your team is counting on you to complete module 3, or you are 80% through. Don't let this progress go to waste. The most effective reminders combine optimal timing with emotional relevance. They make people feel accountable to something bigger than themselves, their team, their goals, their progress to date. To summarize, gamification mechanisms aren't decorations or colorful additions. They are thoughtful, systematic solutions to real challenges in learning process. Motivation drops, lack of engagement, difficulty building habits, participant isolation, all real threats to training effectiveness. Duolingo shows that well-designed systems can maintain up to 55% of users in daily activity. This isn't magic. It is the result of consistently designing every element of the experience. Today I discuss 8 mechanisms behind the success. You can transfer each to your organizations. You don't need to implement everything at once. Sometimes it's enough to start with 1 or 2 best matched to your context to see real change in motivation and engagement. The key is understanding that there aren't just fun additions to serious learning. They are serious solutions to serious problems, and organizations that implement them systematically see dramatic improvements in learning outcomes, employee engagement, and skill application. If you want to deepen this topic and wonder which gamification mechanism could work best in your organization, write in the comments what your biggest training challenges are today. I will try to respond with practical first step recommendations. And if you already tasted gamification elements at your place, share your experiences. Other companies will appreciate honest opinions about what actually works and what doesn't. If this analysis was useful to you, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the future episodes. And if you want to go a step further, check out this video where I show how simply calculate ROI in L&D. See you soon.